know me from Drop Top Tees, but today I'm not representing Drop Top Tees, I'm representing 500 Madness. We are going to install a turbo blanket on Saxy. This is from Sila Concepts. It's available at 500madness.com. Look below the video. I will have a link in the description of the video right below you. Just click on it, you'll go right there. It's a very simple install. You get the blanket, the 4 bolts that you need, and then you need 10 millimeter, 12 millimeter. If you have a torque wrench, I will give you the torque settings that you need to use if you want to torque it down exactly per manufacturer's specification. And of course, the ratchet. Now, first thing when you work on your turbo, do not do it if it's hot. Let your car cool down because it gets very hot. So that's a good, just be aware that if you've just recently driven your car, these things can take a couple hours to cool down. So test it first. It can be extremely hot. So this is a very straightforward installation. You do not have to be a mechanic to do this. As long as you have a ratchet set and a 10 and a 12, it doesn't matter how mechanically inept you are, you can do this. And before we get started, what I want to do, first of all, 500 Madness comped me this turbo blanket to do the video, so I want to let you know that up front. And I know you're used to me doing a lot of other different videos, and so I want to make sure you know that even though I'm doing this for them, I'm also doing it for myself and for you. That I'm never going to put anything on my car that I don't recommend, that I don't believe in, and that I don't think is cost effective and something that's good to do. And so first what I want to do is go inside and we'll get on my computer and read exactly what 500 Madness says about the turbo blanket, and we'll also take a look at a study that actually took a scientific look at turbo blankets to see whether they work or not. So let's go inside. In order to show you what Sila Concepts and 500 Madness or madnessautomotive.com says about their turbo blankets, I'm going directly to their website, and we will look at the turbo blankets for the 124 Spider, specifically the titanium blanket, which is the kind of sandy colored one over to the right there. They also offer a red and a black silicone fiberglass blanket for a little bit less cost. And when we go through this, I'll show you why the titanium blanket is actually the best. The one I'm putting on Saxy is the red silicone fiberglass. All are good. Titanium is the best. And let's go look at them and see what they say about them. Turbo blanket. Reduce the heat in the engine bay and boost the performance of your vehicle with this thermal turbo blanket from Sila Concepts. Installing a thermal blanket like this on your turbocharged vehicle is one of the most cost-effective power-increasing modifications you can make. Remember, decreased temperatures under the hood mean better radiator performance, cooler intake charges, and extended life for things like wire harnesses, fittings, and vacuum lines. You can also expect power and torque increases in addition to decreases in spool time of your turbo. The theory behind this upgrade is rather simple. As you may already know, heat is energy and gas will expand if it becomes hotter, especially when it's in a confined area. The volume doesn't change. If you add heat, you increase the pressure or boost. The more heat you can keep inside the turbine housing, the better. The heat that is retained in the turbine housing allows for more pressure to be directed through a turbine wheel, which will improve the performance and increase the overall boost pressure, while at the same time decrease the time it takes to build pressure. That's a lot to think about right there. Here are the features of the blanket. It's designed specifically for the 124 Spider. It's not a generic blanket. It is designed expressly for our vehicles. It has bolt-on installation and is fully reversible. If you want to go back to stock, say you decide to sell your car, Very easy to do. It's just as easy to switch back as it is to put it on, and you'll see in a couple minutes. Very simple to do. You don't have to be a mechanic to do this. It's designed to reduce under the hood temperatures. It helps the turbo to spool up quicker for improved performance, reduces thermal loss, helps to maintain the velocity of the exhaust gases, protects vital underhood components from high engine heat. It's multi-layer construction. The outer shell on the titanium is titanium fabric. The outer shell on the silicone fiberglass is silicone fiberglass. Inside, they're both the same with a calcium magnesium silicate wool inner core. And they have high temperature silica fabric, stainless steel capstan rivets, and a great selling point and feature and reason you want to buy Sila turbo blankets is that they offer a 3-year manufacturer warranty against defects. The best warranty I could find from any turbo blanket outside of Sila is 1 year. Sila has a 3-year. Definitely something to consider. Okay, and then they go on and show you the heat tolerance specs. On the interior surface, the temperature difference between the fiberglass or the silicone fiberglass and the titanium are minimal. They're almost exactly the same. A little bit, they're basically the same. On the exterior surface, the titanium is a much better performer. It offers 2 to 3 times as much tolerance as does the fiberglass silicone. So if you're going to be a daily driver, the fiberglass silicone is probably fine. If you're going to get hardcore with your car, autocross it, SCCA, track it, do whatever, go out and drive it hardcore, the titanium is definitely the better choice. And it only costs a few dollars more. I think the price difference is about $20. So for $20 you get a little bit better performance. I know some of you, because you're getting it for bling, may go with one of the other ones just because that color blanket matches how you're doing the theme of your engine bay or something like that. Hey, fine. But if you're going for performance oriented, the titanium is definitely the best value per dollar. And I might point out their price points are slightly lower than competitors' products. So you look at a combination of price, performance, warranty. Sila Concepts really is the best value on the market today. Now, as I said at the beginning, even though I'm doing this for Madness, I'm still doing it for you, my viewers, and I'm not going to hawk a product that I personally don't think works. I have these on my vehicles, and that's really not enough for me. Just saying it works means nothing. I have a degree in meteorology, not in engineering. So I went on the internet and I researched turbo blankets before I did the video. Could I find evidence, could I find any studies that show turbo blankets really work? And guess what I found? I came across a study from the University of Texas by an engineering student called Stefan Hans Bickel. For 2016, this is his conclusions from his scientific look at turbo blankets. Can they back up the claims they make? Now I'm going to pick this up so I can read this. Conclusion number 1. The time to torque improvement with the turbo blanket was significant. Conclusion number 2. Our measurements showed that the key feature of the turbo blanket was improvement of turbocharger performance and engine acceleration, which will result in improved vehicle acceleration. Conclusion number 3. Our measurements clearly indicated the potential of the turbo blanket for improved thermal protection of very nearby parts. Bam, bam, and bam. 3 reasons to put on a turbo blanket. That said, before we go outside and put on the turbo blanket from Sila Concepts on Saxy, our Abarth, I want to remind you once again, if you're not in full screen mode, if you are, you can minimize when you come out of the video. Right below us, I have a link to this titanium turbo blanket. Click on that link, you go directly to it on the 500 Madness on the 500 Madness site. If you're looking at modifying your car in any other way to boost the performance on your vehicle, if you're performance oriented, I highly recommend getting a Sila Concepts turbo blanket. Best value for the money, scientifically proven to work. Okay, let's go put the blanket on and I'll show you how easy it is. Okay, so let's do the install. Very straightforward. The first thing we need to do is take off the engine cover. There's just 3 pegs that hold it on, and you can just pull it up. You can see it has three holes. Peg number 1, peg number 2, peg number 3. So we're just going to set this to the side. And now we can start taking off hardware. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the 10mm, and we're going to take off the bracket for the wiring harness that comes off the O2 sensor. And now we're going to switch to a 12, and we have to take off the nuts that hold on the bracket for this. We can just lift this off. This, by the way, when we talk about wires that can be damaged by the heat, this is one of the most common ones right here, because this is just a coating on the wiring harness. It can actually start to melt as well as all the other stuff in close to here. Putting on a turbo blanket helps protect that. I may need to get a deep socket or a pass-through socket for the one post. Let's see if I can get down on it with this. And nope, I'm going to have to get a deep socket. So I'm going to use a deep socket 12. If you don't have a deep socket, you can use a pass-through or a box wrench, box in. And now we need to take all these off. And then that bracket will just lift off. This just comes off. We're going to save this because we're going to put this back on when we put our blanket on. Now, the factory heat shield is this little metal thing, and if you can see, it's very thin metal. It doesn't even cover up all this into the turbo, and there's a whole section of the turbo over here that's not covered at all. So while it helps, it's not anywhere near as efficient as the blanket, which is going to pretty much cover up all of this. So to take the factory heat shield off, we have to go back to 10s. There's three nuts. You see 2 of them here, and there's 1 down on the side of it. And all that's left is the only even remotely tricky one that we have to do. And that's over here on the side. Okay, we're looking at the nut right here. Okay, so I'm going to use a deep 12 on this, just because the bolt's sticking out, the stud's sticking out so far. I can't quite get to it with my regular socket. There we go. Okay, so now we simply lift this up. And this we aren't going to use again. This part of the heat shield we can leave on. We don't need to take that part off. Now the way this goes on, this is the, as you're looking at it from the side, this is the top, this is the bottom. This slot is designed to go over the O2 sensor so you don't have to take it off. So you just carefully thread it down in here. You want to tuck it, that goes in that post. This gets tucked down here like this. Take this out. And now we just start putting things back together. So we're going to use the factory supplied bolts. Got the one on the side and then one more on the top. Okay, I found the easiest way to do this with the strut brace, unless you want to take the strut brace on this side off. Reach with your fingers behind the turbo blanket and feel exactly where you're putting the nut, and then you can feed it in. So now we have to cinch all these down. I will put the torque specifications on the screen if you want to cinch it down with the torque wrench. Here they are. I'm gonna go to the bigger one just because it's taller. Excuse me. You don't need to show that. Okay. Okay, and then we got the last one down at the bottom we have to tighten up. And then we put on the brace. And just so I don't have to run into the strut brace, I switched to a very small ratchet. Okay, now we have to put on the heat, or the bracket, and our post. Go back to the heat there. Hey, how you doing?
Hello. You don't mind? You don't mind?
My neighbor just came by. He's weed eating and seeing what we're doing. Again, I'm putting up the torque specs if you use a torque wrench. Two more to go and we're done. One here and the wiring harness, and then put the engine cover back on. Okay, now that I have them all snug, I can cinch them down. And we have this little 10 to put back on here to hold our O2 wire harness correct. So I need to go back to the 10 more. I'll just use baby for this. Okay, now take our engine cover line these up and just press down.
Show those again.
You got your 3 posts that you're going to stick it on. So put that one on. The other 2 just snap right in. 2, 3, we're good to go. Now, on the Sila Concepts badge here, there's a little piece of plastic film. That is just protective film for while you install it. And you just pull this off.
It's hard to see though. There we go.
You got it. And I will say one more thing. Look here. I will say one more thing. The first 3 or 4 times you run your car, you may get like a white, caulky, smoky substance come up off your turbo blanket. That's not a problem. It's perfectly normal and is expected. So it'll go away after about 3 or 4 heat cycles on your turbo blanket. It'll stop doing that. Just be aware that may occur, and if it does, it's not defective. It's just part of breaking in the turbo blanket. Overall, if you're a mechanic, that's a 10 or 15 minute job. If you're just a do-it-yourselfer that doesn't wrench a lot, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the most. The hardest part is this bottom bolt down here. It's hard to get threaded back in. What I do is I hold it in position from the front, reach my hand behind the turbo blanket, get it lined up, and then I start threading it, and then we're good to go. The way I see on Etsy, where I've had a turbo blanket for about 1.5 years now, the most notable effect I see has to do with thermal retention. And that is when I start the car cold, you have that blue light come on to let you know the engine's still cold. You have to wait until it goes off before you really want to rev the engine out and run the car. Significant reduction in how long it takes for the turbo to warm up and for the cold engine light to turn off. One last thing that they won't mention on their website, because they're just sticking to actual what it does to the engine, but go to a car show, go to a meetup, lift up the hood. I know y'all, if you put stuff on your car, you're a little bit narcissistic about your cars. It's the way we all are. And if you get the red one, adds a little color. You got 3 color choices. They asked me which one I wanted, and I said red because we already have the air intake that's red and the strut braces are red, so just adds a little bit more bling. I also have, this is also from Madness, my oil cap with the Abort logo on it, the scorpion. So we add a little bit more color, but more importantly, we just improve the efficiency of our engine. Will benefit the most in how long it takes, how short of time it'll take to warm up now, and we will have more torque quicker, lower in the RPM band, because we're retaining heat inside the turbo. Bottom of the link, bottom of the video, there's a link to the titanium turbo blanket, the best one out of the 3. And as always, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and we'll see you again next time.